Alright, so from our last section, once you make a request to a non-existing product code, you'll be able to get a very, very huge error which you can't really read through and obtain constructive information, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to transform this just to return a simple JSON payload. So what we're going to do is going to be within our controller, we are going to, within our packages, I'm going to go inside here, create a new folder, and I'm going to have an exception. Alright, so within this exception, I'm going to create a class which is going to be a controller device. A device that way. So .java. Alright, so we are going to have this particular class, and then what you're going just to annotate to tell it that it's going to be used to map the particular exceptions. You're going to make use of a controller device annotation, and this will be able to annotate this particular class to be used to be invoked whenever we have an exception, to check whether the exception is mapped to the correct JSON payload. So what I'm going to do here is going to be simple. I'm going just to say at exception handler, and then within this I'm going to specify the different class. So you see, exception handler will be able to pick the class which you want to do, and as you can see from our service, we are throwing an exception which is an illegal argument exception. So I'm going just to pick that and say .class. Right, so this is the first annotation, and then from there we are going to say it's going to be REST status, HTTP status. What is the HTTP status we are going to return? So we are going to specify at response status. We are going to specify the response status whenever that exception is thrown, and this one is going to be code, and then it's going to be HTTP status, going to be HTTP code. It should be HTTP. Going to have code HTTP status dot internal and the default one, as you can see. So then you just have this one, HTTP status dot. You see, we have this class. Okay, you can just quickly see again how it's coming through. It's going to be HTTP status, and this is what you're going to have as the default. Let me copy that and just use it here. Then we'll be able to have that as the status code, but then we need to import this one, HTTP class. It's not picking that, so for now I'll just proceed. Then let's have the method is going to be public, and then we are going to return a simple JSON payload. I'm going just to have a map of the exception, and then which is going to be of type string, and then the message which is going to be type string for now. And then we'll be able to see handle illegal argument exception here. Then within this one we are going to at the same time receive this illegal argument exception class as our argument, and then we are going to just annotate it as at exe. Then from here we just need to import this. I don't know why it's not importing. Okay, for now we can just avoid the response there. I don't know why it's not picking. Let's import what is available for us first. Then from here we need to do the custom implementation of this one. So we actually need to return here is going to be return map, and this map is going to be what you are going to map as the actual variable. So I'm going to create a local variable, and this one is going to be new hash map that way. Then what we're going to do is map dot put. You're going to put this key as the message, and then from here we can have the message is going to be the exe.get localized message. Then with that we'll be done, but then at the same time I'm going to also add success variable, which is going to be success, and then this is going to be false, meaning that we didn't manage to have a successful variable set. So in this case, think this is going to be Boolean value, so we can just say Boolean, it's going to be string dot value of, then a Boolean or false, I think so, because we define this one to be of type string, right? So with that, I think I need at response status. Then I think I need this as a function. Then what do I need? Value. We need the value, which is going to be in this case it's going to be 4 or 4 for this case, which is going to be not found. So you can just say not found as the value. So import that. I don't know why it's not big key. Here we are going to do, it's going to be http status dot not found. Yeah, so that one we'll be able to see now. Here we have been able to specify. You can remove the value, be able to pick automatically that way. So once we restart now and send our the application automatically restarts without, if there is no error, it's be able to start given by the Spring Boot dev tool. So once you have this, we have seen that we have mapped this particular exception, and then we are throwing a simple map of the payload and also some success property in that. So this one map is going to be generated into a Spring JSON data. So let's send now the request once again. We have that not working. So what you need to do again, so the illegal state exception. Let's see what is the actual exception, illegal argument. Then from here, controller advice, at rest controller. It should be at rest controller advice, so that be able to have it as at rest controller. So that's my mistake. Let's see. Sometimes you might be required to restart automatically for it to be able to do legal argument. Yeah, let's see once more and sending the requests. Yeah, now you can see at the moment you can be able to see we cannot find the product with the supplied code, and then success is false. Now we got rid of the funny payload coming whenever we don't find the particular code within the listing. So that is one way of doing exception mapping within Spring Boot. So it's known as using of control advice. So for this case, because we are working with REST controllers, then we are making use of the REST controller advice to map the exception. So the rest is that we can duplicate that and say any other exception. So mostly if we haven't handled our exception, then we can delegate a method to handle any additional exception, handle exception, and then for this case we are just to receive the actual exception, and then for this case we are just to make use of internal server error, and then we are going to get everything that way, and then we can be able to have a different status code. Now at the moment, for this particular request, whenever we make this request, you'll be able to see we are getting 404 not found. But then let's see if we had thrown a different exception, and let's say we threw a new runtime exception. Let me just say runtime. It's a runtime exception, and then let's say we have changed that into that particular exception. Now if we wait for it to restart and send out the same request, I think the second method should be able to handle for us the exception. You might see the message looks same, but then check on the HTTP status. It's actually 500 because that is what is being handled by the default exception. Any exception which is a subclass of the exception class, then it will be automatically mapped to 500 internal server error. So that is how we handle the particular exceptions.